What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. It is a little bit of a weird start time, and it is a free edition of Crunch Time. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. Go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and then I'm going to tell you to do that like 7 more times. But we are going to navigate this slate. We do have some preseason NFL going on, but I do believe we're here to talk the baseball, the round ball. One less game if you're on DK than if you're on Fanduel. So we're going to start with Fanduel. Cards, how are you, man?
Yeah, doing well. It's been a weird week schedule-wise with baseball, but we roll with the punches and we take the slate that's given to us. And this whole Field of Dreams game has the schedule all whacked up today. So Fanduel's including it. DraftKings is not. So Fanduel locks here in a half an hour.
Okay, we got Dre as well. Dre, are you excited to have the Field of Dreams game on, or do you prefer without?
I'm iffy on it, honestly. I'm happy about it actually because I'm a Yankee fan, so it's actually kind of cool to see the game being played there. But it just makes it a little bit of a weird slate to kind of go over and figure out.
Right, because there's still games. Do we have all the lineups yet, or there's still
a few out there? I think like 2 or 3 are missing. Toronto, which is big for what I want to do today. But I think that's really it, besides the Angels, I think, and that's it.
Okay. We have some big weather concerns as well. As rain is moving into Foxborough and could cause a delay, that's the wrong sport. But that could happen, just an FYI. I don't know if you're playing any preseason NFL, but it will be a little bit rainy for that game. There is no baseball rain concerns, which is freaking wonderful after the week that we've had. So it's quiet in the MLB weather department. And guys, we are leaning on you to figure out what we're going to do. So let's start talking about some of the pitchers. Cards, I'm going to let you go first in the pitcher department.
Yeah, I mean, Darvish is your clear-cut ace tonight. There's not a whole lot of debate. He gets the Diamondbacks. He was going through a rough patch, but had, I believe, 12 Ks his last outing, which was against the Diamondbacks, and that's who he gets to face again tonight. So, I mean, this is a bad team. They traded away a couple of their best hitters at the trade deadline. The Padres are huge favorites. I think it's Darvish. That's your top option by quite a margin tonight. And on DraftKings, where you don't have that first game, I mean, and you need 2 pitchers, it's really hard to not play him. So Darvish is the guy. I think you could consider a pivot on FanDuel to Lance Lynn or Logan Webb. I don't love taking pitchers against the Yankees, but Lynn just throws a bunch of strikes. That does play well against that Yankees lineup. And Webb at home against the weak Rockies lineup, and the Rockies have the lowest team total on the slate. So, it's not that I love him. I will certainly have some Rocky stacks and GPPs to be a little bit different in, the top heavy $5 GPP or something. But, Lynn and Webb are your most logical pivots, or even Marquez for the Rockies. But Darvish is the guy. And then from there, you're just trying to be a little different with some tournament builds. And I mean, that's it. It's only 4 games.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of those different plays or some of those tournament takes. Dre, is Darvish your guy as well, or are you trying to get crazy and get off him, or no, you're just eating the chalk?
Depending, certain tournaments, I'm going to probably be a little bit more chalky at pitcher, but in the $5 tournament, which I'm playing tonight as well, I definitely going to have a little exposure to all the pitching, except for Tyler Widener that we have on the Arizona pitcher. So I'll have a little bit of mixtures, but I'm going to probably be my most exposed pitcher is going to be Logan Webb for sure. Definitely in tournaments, I can say that just because Colorado has that horrible lineup and the strikeout the price, sorry, and then also the strikeout matchup is also high there with the with Colorado Breakers have a lineup with like 26%, I think, strikeouts on it. So I like that going into it. I do like trying to also get a little bit of Shohei Ohtani against Toronto, even though Toronto, we know they're a good hitting team and they've been good all year. Their umpire they have is an extreme hitters umpire. But Shohei does have the strikeout upside in this matchup too as well. So I like getting to him in tournaments too, and probably being a little bit overweight on him as well, even though I know the bat doesn't protect him that well.
Okay, excellent. We got to talk about some of the hitters. We got to talk about some of the stacks. Cards you mentioned, look, there's not a whole lot to choose from here, but certainly some are more favorable than others. Is there a chalk stack, and what is it? And then is there other stacks that you're looking that you like at their ownership?
Yeah, I mean, the Padres are the chalk tonight. That's going to be pretty obvious. And it's hard not to like them against Arizona's bad pitching staff. So the Padres are number one. Everybody else is going to be, maybe a little contrarian. Toronto won't be as highly owned as usual outside of maybe their big couple bats. The White Sox, I mean, Andrew Heaney, every time Andrew Heaney starts, I kind of joke on Twitter that it'll be, I think we're at the year 2028 now by the time he pays off his whatever mid-range price tag is. And Heaney's been chalk so often this year, and just, I mean, he gives up a lot of fly balls, a lot of home runs. And I'm curious, do we know anything on the dimensions of this park in the corn here, or what's the logistics of the park tonight?
Are you asking me?
I mean, yeah, I just didn't know if you knew.
Derek Carty had a great thread on it. It has the fourth shortest wall as far as actual height of the wall. It's only like 7 feet or something really low. And I want to say it was about league average distance, or maybe even slightly better than that. I think it projects as a slightly above average park for hitters. So it should be more of a hitter's park than a pitcher's park. The weather similarly isn't spectacular, but it is better for hitters than pitchers. There's also the theory of corn sweat. I don't know if you saw my tweet on corn sweat cards. Did you happen to catch that?
I did not.
So corn sweats. It lets out a lot of moisture, and it really increases the humidity and the dew point. So if you are playing a game in a cornfield, all of that moisture, all of that humidity actually makes the ball carry farther. So the corn sweating could contribute to the ball flying farther, but I have no idea if that's actually going to happen or not. But that is a legitimate scientific theory.
I don't think I'm going to bank on that happening.
I am all over the over for the corn sweat narrative, but
if it doesn't happen, we can blame sample size. And if it happens, then you look like a genius.
Absolutely. I am all over the over, and I'm just going to scream corn sweat if they bash like 15 home runs. It's going to be amazing.
That's for that. He's for that.
Yes. Dre, any interest in the corn sweat game or any others?
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. That's obviously Padres are going to be the top stack, but I love trying to get to as many bets as I can in the Yankee Chicago game. I do like, obviously, slightly favor Chicago a little bit more going against Heaney, who gets, like Card said, a lot of hard contact, a lot of fly balls. So I prefer that side of it, but I'm going to try to get just as much exposure to the Yankees as I possibly can to see what how it shakes out. It's a small slate. You got to get different, got to get weird. And then Colorado, I'm going to have definitely some mini stacks in them just because I'm just trying to figure out Logan Webb. He's pitched a couple of games against Colorado this year, but he hasn't pitched as far as like how Yu Darvish has pitched. So in comparison, so I'm going to try to definitely get some exposure to Colorado as well, being majority of my secondary stacks instead of my primary.
Okay, excellent. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube where it is free, first off, hit like and subscribe. Second off, if you want to join RotoGrinders Premium, where we do this show every single day, 7 days a week for every single sport, you can do that. And you get $10 off premium subscription, whether you're doing a combo or an individual sport. And that is a heck of a deal. So go ahead, sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. In the meantime, let's talk about some of these individual bats. And we like to start at the catcher position. Again, the focus is going to be on Fanduel. So I guess catcher position is not as relevant there, but maybe there is a guy. So Cards, there a guy?
No,
No,
you
yeah.
are not playing a catcher on FanDuel tonight. And even when we get over to DraftKings, like earlier in the day, we had Buster Posey at like 60% projected ownership on DraftKings, and he's not in the lineup tonight. So
Oh,
they're playing the backup catcher.
brutal.
So you have a whole lot of absolutely nothing catching tonight. So my advice, unless it's part of a a stack, and certainly certainly on a slate like this, if you're looking to be different with some stacks on FanDuel,
Mhm.
put your catcher in a stack. I mean, on a 4-game slate, if a guy hits a home run, like it's going to be a difference maker. So, in cash games, you're not playing a catcher on FanDuel, but if you want to put somebody in as part of your stacks, I don't have a problem with it.
So cards, let's just loop it into one position then on FanDuel, and let's just, call it the catcher first base position like it is. Where do you like there?
Yeah, I mean, then you get Vlad Guerrero, you get Abreu added to the mix. I
They're a
think
little
he's
better than the backup
yeah, they're a
catcher.
little better than the backup catchers that we got going tonight.
Yeah.
Um, I think Jared Walsh is interesting. He's pretty cheap. He's back from injury. I think he's like $7 on Yahoo if you're playing over there. He's 4,100 on DK's 3K on FanDuel. So Walsh I like a good bit, even against Barrios. I think the price makes him viable. If you can't quite get up to Vlad, if you can't get up to Abreu, I think Walsh and Belt are next on the list, and they're both fine as well. So, yeah, it's not necessarily a bad idea to play 2 first basemen on FanDuel. Plug one into your utility spot, or if you're playing Vlad, you can play him at third. So, this is actually a pretty good position for a short slate.
Dre, what are you doing here at catcher first?
Well, the only catcher I do like is Victor Caratini, just to be different in my tournament lineups. So I'll have him a part of my San Diego stacks. And I probably might use him in a few lineups as a one-off, but majority will have him like in a stack for sure. I definitely also like trying to just get a little bit different here. Like we got Andrew Vaughn, who's like the 6th spot for the Chicago White Sox, who's only getting right now from what our projections show 8% ownership. I like getting to him a lot against Heaney, especially in that park, since you're saying it's a little bit more in favor of a hitter's park. So I like taking that approach for sure. And then obviously you got, as you mentioned, Vlad, Jake Cronenworth is someone I also like, Jose Abreu, who's going to be very popular, probably the second most popular, probably the second or third most popular first baseman on the slate. And then Jared Walsh for tournaments as well as like Card said, being back, I like that as a one-off for sure. I'm not really afraid of Barrios at all. We're going against him.
Okay, great. Cards, take us to second base.
All right, second base. You're going to see most of the ownership here go on Cronenworth and Adam Frazier. The Padres are going to be the chalk tonight against Widener, and I've got no issue with them. I mean, Frazier 2,800, Cronenworth 3,700 on FanDuel. You're probably playing one of those two guys. Like Marcus Semien, I think is okay even against Ohtani. We know Ohtani has command problems at times, but in this Toronto offense is pretty dangerous from top to bottom. So I could see Ohtani throwing a great game tonight. I could see Toronto scoring a bunch of runs, a pretty wide range of outcomes in there. Makes those Toronto bats a little bit interesting for GPPs. So those are the 3 guys that are going to get the most ownership. Don't mind going, to even Rougned Odor or, LeMahieu or somebody against Lance Lynn if you're looking to be a little different in GPPs. My favorite would maybe be La Stella hitting second at 2,400 for the Giants. If you're looking for a punt play in a good lineup spot there, hitting second, I think he's okay tonight on FanDuel.
Dre, you doing anything different?
Not for the most part. I do like a couple other ones. I like trying to get to I don't know, for some reason I do like Colorado a little bit. So Ryan McMahon is someone I'm definitely targeting in my lineups for sure. So he's someone I'm looking at to have a lot more exposure to, and Cesar Hernandez to part of like the Chicago White Sox stacks. I like to try to get a little bit different in my stacks and be a little bit, because I know people are going to tend to be on the top half of the lineups and also the more projected batters. So I like to try to mix it in and get a couple of the lower projected hitters in our lineup that are not getting no love or exposure really.
Okay, excellent. We'll go to second base. Cards, third base.
Yeah, third base
Yeah, third
is
base.
next. Not a ton of options here tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of people just play Machado and move on. Moncada is a little more interesting on FanDuel at 2,900, but he just isn't having a great year. I like Chris Bryant. I think as a pivot, nobody ever likes to play the Giants bats all that much. They've been theoretically overachieving all year. And again, I know Marquez is a good pitcher, good park shift, but it's only a 4-game slate and nobody ever wants to play the Giants. Like you got these Padres bats at 50, 60%, and these Giants guys are at 10, 15, 20%. I mean, Chris Bryant just as dangerous at the plate as a lot of other hitters. So I think the Giants are kind of my favorite sneakier stack on the slate. Don't know if I mentioned that directly when we talked about stacks, but you can play Bryant at third, or you can play him in the outfield. I mean, you can play Machado and Bryant together, and I've tagged them both as conviction plays there. So, Machado would be my favorite. Bryant would be my favorite lower owned play.
Dre, what do you like at third?
Like you said, Chris Bryant, I echo that. I love that play. He's on definitely trying to get to a lot of Moncada for sure. I want to have exposure to. And then I also like I know Darvish is someone that I like getting a little bit weird. So like Cabrera for Arizona, if he's going to be in the lineup against Darvish, I like trying to just have him as a potential one-off just to get a little bit different because this like everything's going to be pretty much concentrated ownership and a little bit more higher on in some spots than others. So I like doing that for sure and getting to him to be a little bit different in GPPs.
Okay, shortstop cards.
All right. Sorry. Trying to flip over on the screen share here and clicked it too many times. Let's see. What I was trying to is Tatis not in there tonight for the Rockies? Or for the Padres?
I don't think so.
What's that?
I don't think so from what I've seen. No, he's
Yeah,
not.
we didn't have him. I just wanted to make sure that was accurate. So Pham, Frazier, Machado, Cronenworth, Hosmer, Myers, Grisham, and Caratini. So no Tatis, again, arguably the top hitter on the slate now. You don't have him, and that's why you can afford to spend up at some of these other positions because Tatis was going to be the guy, potentially breaking the slate as the one shortstop that you just feel like you can't fade. Well, you don't have him now. So that opens the door. I mean, I think Crawford, Trevor Story, Tim Anderson, these are all guys with some upside that weren't going to get any ownership before. They'll get a little more now. I like Crawford. I like Story a good bit. I'm pretty neutral on David Fletcher, not a huge ceiling there, but always takes pretty good at bats. So if you need to go a little cheaper, maybe him, but Crawford, Story, Anderson would be my top three.
Dre, shortstop.
Hold on, sorry. This has to
You're good, man.
get over to it real quick. So my shortstops that I have, I like Toronto a little bit. So get into like a little bit of Marcus Semien. I like that for sure. I don't know if Bo Bichette's gonna be back in the lineup, but if he is, I don't think he's gonna. If he is in the lineup, I like trying to get some. He's gonna probably be lower owned too. I would project people might not want to play him as much because he's coming off injuries. Then I like Tim Anderson, Crawford too. Like Hart said, as a low owned play. And David Fletcher. I like him getting into like some mini stacks with the Angels going against Barrios today.
Okay, excellent. That brings us to the outfield cards. What do we have? What do we love? And what is just like, man, it's okay.
Yeah, so as usual, the outfield is the position where you can kind of go get different and, get guys at different price ranges. So my favorite differentiation plays would be like, I don't mind the Yankees power bats against Lynn. Not that I'm stacking the Yankees, but on FanDuel where they are available, guys like Gallo. Let's see what we got for projected ownership on all their outfielders. So we got Gallo at 25, Stanton at 8, and Judge at 4. Probably won't be that wide. Gallo will be the highest owned because he's the cheapest. But I think Stanton and Judge will be a little closer in terms of ownership, but none of them are going to be extremely chalky. Gardner is cheap, but he's not the power guy that you maybe want against Lynn. The other guys that I kind of tagged up here, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez on the White Sox side of that game. And then I like Lamonte Wade leading off for the Giants at 2,900. Not as interested in Adam Engel with him hitting 8th. He's probably going to be one of the more popular values. He won't be quite as chalky, probably as we have him projected, given that batting order spot. Tommy Pham at 3K on FanDuel is going to be probably the highest owned overall outfielder. So, you can mix and match within your stacks here. There's 10 or 12 good, really strong plays. But I think I'll focus on maybe, again, the Giants for my kind of contrarian plays, especially Wade. And then I do like the Yankees, White Sox outfielders on FanDuel.
All right. Dre, what are you doing in the outfield?
Same. I go the same thing. I like Mike Yastrzemski a lot. I like getting to him. I want to have probably at least double, maybe triple the field of him, as a one-off, if not in my stacks for sure. I like getting Corey Dickerson a lot too, part of your Toronto sites, or even as a one-off for sure. I'm obviously Joey Gallo. His price is just too cheap, so he hasn't really been hitting that well, really that well, or hitting home runs, to say, often this season. So, but I'm gonna get a lot of him. I definitely like Eloy Jimenez too, Will Myers and Tommy Pham. Those are guys I really like trying to get exposure to. And another lower end guy that I like is Garrett Hampson. I like trying to get to just having like I said, a Colorado mini stack, just to be a little bit different, and obviously Charlie Blackmon as well.
Okay, excellent. With that, we have gone through the positions. MP says, fellas, I need your home run picks tonight. So let's see, Dre, I will start with you. Who do you like? And, you can pick someone who's chalky. You can pick someone who is, kind of a little sneakier. But who do you like for the odds as a home run pick?
Hold on. Well,
And you don't have to have the odds ahead of you. Just think of it,
Oh, I know. But I like to try to be different here. So
Okay.
I'm gonna actually go with Ryan McMahon. I like McMahon for a home run tonight.
All right, Cards, you are up. Who is your home run bet tonight?
I mean, I think the White Sox power bats against Haney. He gives up home runs every time he pitches. So like Eloy Jimenez is probably the best bet there. Luis Robert, if you're looking to get a little more contrarian or a little bit higher odds. And I like some of those kind of random plays in the Rockies Giants game too. So I'll throw Chris Bryant out there as my other one.
Okay, excellent. How much salary are you guys, or would you leave on the table in single entry? Because it's a small slate, and I don't know if is it difficult to get different where it's smart to leave some salary. Cards, are you doing anything there?
I mean, you could do it let me just do it as a sample. Like if you're going a little cheaper at pitcher, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on the screen share, but if I went like Logan Webb at pitcher, and then I still went with some of the like chalkiest bats on the slate, couple of the better values, Gallo's pretty cheap, and I'm, don't pay attention to the names here as much as the salaries, but like
Right.
What I've done here is I've plugged in 6 of the highest owned hitters basically at random. All high owned hitters. Okay. All I did was put in a fairly popular pitcher and 8 of the highest owned bats. And I've got $1,200 left remaining on this sample lineup. And it's going to project fairly well. So the question would be, okay, with this $1,200 remaining, would I want to upgrade Tommy Pham at 3K to George Springer at 4,200? Well, they project about the same. So really, the whole world would be building that lineup with Springer in it. And again, don't focus on the mechanics of the actual players within this lineup. I'm just doing it as an example to say, is there really that much separating, say, Pham from Springer for one night on a 4-game slate? Probably not. Right. And if Pham hits a home run and Springer doesn't, and you've got that lineup with 1,200 left on the table, sure, it might project the point lower or something, but variance is a fickle beast. So, I wouldn't hesitate to leave $800 or $900 on the table. You don't have to if you like your lineup and it uses up the whole salary cap, fine. Mm-hmm. But if you like that contrarian build and you want to approach it that way on a 4-game slate, like I have no issue leaving $1,200.
Dre, any lineups that you built that leave a bunch of salary, or no, you're spending it, but just being different in the way you spend it?
No, I tend to, in general, try to leave some salary on some items off the board. So okay. I literally try to leave about 1,500 to 1,000.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That definitely answers the question. All right. Let's get into some of these individual questions here. There's not a ton of them, I think, because of the weird time frame. We don't have as many people, and the small slate. We don't have as many people as usual. But let's dive into a few.
I mean, I think sorry to cut you off, but I think the other factor is there's generally more volume of questions on DraftKings, and with that slate not starting for 2.5 hours yet, those people just playing on DK just probably aren't even in the process of building their lineups yet.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that is likely. But we'll take the questions that we do have, and some of them are DK. You can open it up. They can be DK questions. And guys, we can just alternate. I'll start Dre with you here. Better one-off on DK, Springer or Teoscar?
Ooh. One-off, if this is a tournament, I'm going to say definitely Teoscar.
Okay. I love this question from Aside Cards. I'm giving you this one. Am I stupid? I'm considering fading the first game and just playing the main slate as an after-hours slate and just basically playing the Fanduel slate like the DK slate. Is that stupid or
no? I mean, if you're doing it just to do it, I mean, that's really not the best reason. But what I have found in cases like this is that sweating that first game is absolutely brutal, because the moment Aaron Judge hits a home run at 30% ownership, you feel like you're dead at that point.
Yeah, right.
And it stinks. But like the type of game, I watched this because I bet on the Yankees game yesterday, and they had a game yesterday that was 5-2. And the biggest highlight was like a 2-run single, but neither pitcher really got there because it was 5-2 with a bunch of singles. They didn't strike out a bunch of guys. And then, there were hardly any extra base hits. So I don't think there were any home runs in the game, and it was 5-2. Like, that's the kind of game that you want if you fade that first game. Now, whether you can get that in a game that has a 9.5 total with Andrew Haney and his home run problems pitching, and, I don't have a lot of bats from that game in my GPP lineups, but I am using the pitchers a little bit. So, you can fade it. You just need to hope that nobody goes off, and, I'll kind of be in that boat too, but not entirely.
Okay. Excellent question. Guys, we have about 3.5 minutes here until the Field of Dreams locks. And then at that point, we can just focus on DK or take your questions or just leave, depending on how.
Did you see what the get-in price was for the cheapest ticket on StubHub?
I didn't, and I am so curious because this is kind of legendary, and I think there's only like 8,000 seats or something, right?
There's not a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's imported stands. So I know because I looked last night at 10 o'clock.
Were you thinking of going when you
No,
looked?
I was not thinking. It's not that long of a trip for me, but no. So yes, the get-in price at 10 o'clock last night. What do you think?
I think it maybe $600.
I would say 1,500.
Yeah, pretty close. It was $1,346 at the time for one ticket. And I know that some of the local Iowa places had done like a lottery for tickets and things, and they gave some away. But
that's a good idea. Yeah.
The get-in price, if you were trying to buy them on the secondary market, was like World Series level tickets.
Right. Like, it's super cool because it's a once in a lifetime thing, but it's a meaningless game. Like, it's not the World Series. It's not a playoff game. It's just a random game. So there's not a whole lot behind it. But that's pretty wild. Let's see if we got any QQs here. No, not really. So we're good. All right. We'll just sit here awkwardly and twiddle our thumbs for a minute. Or if you guys have questions, they can be this guy versus this guy. They can be strategy. They can be about corn sweat. All of these types of questions are allowed. Dre, are you going to be watching this Field of Dreams game?
I'm going to try to watch a little bit of it if I can. I have just a couple of little things to run around because I've got to go to a wedding this weekend. So got to prepare for that.
Gotta do all that nonsense. Cards, you're watching.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
You going to watch with your son? Is it going to be like a whole Field of Dreams, like full circle
I got,
thing?
if we don't have a bunch of questions, so the Cardinals were playing this afternoon. And I get this random text. Now, mind you, I'm working. I get a text from him. Why did Carlson leave the game? And then, come on, only one more out. And then he says, I thought they would blow it after the home run in the ninth. So he's just like me.
Yeah, watching and negative about it every step of the way.
The old pessimism. He gave up a 2-run homer in the ninth, but still pulled it out. So yeah, it'll be fun. I mean, it is very unique. And, growing up in this area with cornfields all around me and stuff, it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, and I saw, if you haven't seen some of the video of it or some of the photos, the ballpark looks awesome. Like,
yeah, they did a great job.
Left field is just a cornfield. Like, it's basically just an open cornfield right there. It's really, really neat. Jay says, hey, would you play McMahon against Webb on FanDuel cards?
I think you can definitely play him in tournaments. You don't need to play him in cash games because the Rockies have such a low total, but I don't mind any of them really in GPPs.
All right. Dre, is Will Myers viable in a Padres stack? Nobody's been talking about him. Granted, he hasn't been very good.
Yes. Even though he hasn't been good, you never know a day when someone's gonna break out of their slump. And I love to embrace variance in different plays. So he's someone I would definitely target.
Okay. Excellent. That's a lock here on the first game. Here's my question, guys. Do we need to rehash everything, or is everything that we've said still accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much all applies. Frankly, I don't think there's probably a lot of people here that are actively building their DK lineups right now because it doesn't start for another 2.5 hours. So, I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot of people waiting for differences, but Will Myers will be a little more popular on DK. I'm just kind of looking through our projected ownership now. I mentioned Walsh earlier. Darvish is going to be ridiculously popular on DK, where you need 2 pitchers and you only have 3 games. So, there's really not a whole lot different.
Okay, great. Just making sure that the weather in the Field of Dreams, everything. Okay. Dre, anything you want to add here in the differences, or?
I know. Well, I think on a later slate, from what I was looking at briefly on it, for DK, everyone's gonna probably be trying to. It's the pitching. I think it's gonna be a little bit spread out. If I'm correct, let me pull it up real quick. I actually did look at it. Sorry, take me 1 second. All right, there we go. Pitching. Yeah. Pitching, I would just say don't be afraid to get different. Ohtani is it's 8.2K. I know, Toronto, even though I like Toronto today a lot, 9% owned. I would probably try to be double the field on that.
Yeah, I don't mind Ohtani at that ownership on DK.
Yeah, I would try to just be double the field on that and get a little bit more exposure to him for sure. Definitely don't play Widener for sure.
Okay. Excellent. Guys, let's see. We've got one more question. We'll take this question. And then don't forget, if you're one of the 2 people still watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe and sign up for RotoGrinders. You get $10 off, whether you do a combo or single sport. And that's a good deal. You get $10 off your first month. Aside, says FanDuel Cash cards, 2v2, Lamont, Wade, and Myers, or Hosmer and Dickerson.
I'd take the first one.
Okay, there you go. With that, unless our superstar producer has any objections, Devin? Yeah, no, I think with that, we should head on out of here. So for cards, for Dre, and for Devin, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. Enjoy that Field of Dreams game if you're going to watch it. You have been crunched.